All right, so we're going to do the Atlanta Falcons mock draft here, a 3-round mock. And joining us is Will McFadden from The Falcoholic. He is a writer for The Falcoholic as well as a draft analyst, and he's going to help us understand who the Falcons might take here in the draft by using this mock from our friends at PFF with the Draft Simulator. So, having said that, we are already on the clock here for the Panthers. I'm just going to click Start Draft, and we'll see who is available here at pick 8.
Here we go.
All right. CJ Stroud, number 1. Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Will Levis to the Colts. Jalen Carter, 5th to Seattle. Christian Gonzalez to Detroit. That might change with Cam Sutton now. Mm-hmm. Anthony Richardson to the Raiders. I'm sure the Raiders are kind of happy with that. Atlanta is on the clock.
And look who it is.
And look, you got Witherspoon, who we spoke in the previous video, as well as Tyree Wilson. And you've got your choice of receivers. Will, what do you think, man? Who are you going with?
Yeah, I know we did just do the whole rundown on Witherspoon and Gonzalez and all of that. So I'm gonna go for the different take here. Let's go Tyree Wilson. I think that this is a scenario that a lot of Falcons fans would be pretty happy with because, I don't know if he is in a given year where there are maybe 3-4 really, really pure good edge rushers like the Myles Garrett class, for instance, when you had just a handful of guys kind of coming out of the SEC all at the same time. I think that in that year, he may be more in the mid rounds, but he kind of does fit what I was talking about when the Atlanta Falcons, I think, want to look more to what the New Orleans Saints did on the defensive line, where they had these bigger bodies, these really physical, powerful guys that could control the line of scrimmage while also bringing juice in the pass rush. And Tyree Wilson, a little bit raw, but he has the profile to do that and be that in the NFL. So for that reason, he fits a need. I think the upside is there, and that's usually what you like to draft for. Certainly in the top 10 is that upside and those traits, and he's got all of that. So let's go with Tyree Wilson, and the Falcons continue to add to the pass rush, which they desperately need to do.
All right. I like that. Good answer. And while I hit this, and then we'll go to the next pick, my question is to you, Will. If Jalen Carter was available as opposed to Wilson, would you take him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So pretty much the same philosophy on that?
I would. Yeah. I'll figure out what to do with Jalen Carter. I'll trade to Con Graham if I need to. Like we'll find a
Get
spot
him on the
for
field.
him.
Yeah.
I think that it's not, hey man, can you play nickel corner? Well, we're going to try you out. Like just get Jalen Carter in the building at that point.
All right. There you go. All right. So here we are with our second round pick here for Atlanta. I'm pick 44.
Now, we're not going to do this, I assume, for the purposes of this mock draft, but I do think that it's in play that the Falcons consider trading back, either from number 8 or somewhere in here. If the guy that they like, I could see them maneuvering up to get the guy they like in the end of the first round, or, hey, we don't like what we have here. Let's drop back a little bit and pick up another 4, 5, 6, depending on how far they want to move and what the ammunition is there. However, I think there is a strong chance that the Falcons, if they don't really address it in free agency, that they do double dip on their pass rush and on their edge defender. And I think that BJ Ojulari is a nice complement to what they're getting in Tyree Wilson. He's a totally different type of player, but I think that, again, there is some upside here that he fits a little bit of the Arnold Ebiketie mold that the Falcons have. But again, depth is not a bad thing to have coming in as your pass rush group and that rotation. I think that they can invest in the upside in their pass rush, continue to build that because they want to invest in the trenches. So whether it's Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter, I like BJ Ojulari, here for the Falcons based on, who else is available at this point.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. And, when you want to get more sacks, you want to get more defensive pressure, you can't have too many edge rushers. So I like that pick. All right. And the reasoning. Let's go ahead and hit that draft. Next, we go to the third round.
Let me tell you what I think the Falcons could be looking for here in this range. I do think wide receiver is in play because it seems like this is the bell curve of where the receivers are going to go, where the run could start happening, third round at some point, end of day 2. So that could be on play if there's a certain type of, I think they need almost a Juju Smith-Schuster type, like that intermediate can kind of, while everybody else is focused on Drake London, on Kyle Pitts, on, Jonnu Smith, although he can fill that role a little bit too. Somebody who can just operate in the shadows a little bit and get lost and find. So if that's there, I could see them looking at that. I could also see them going with corner. If somebody they feel like has fallen for a specific reason, whether those be medical red flags or they just didn't test well, but the tape is much better, something like that, and addressing that number 2 spot. I could also see them going offensive line here as well. And just especially, again, if McGarry is not in the picture, that may swing things for me a little bit as to how the first couple of rounds go. But of those 3, where do you think the value is here for Atlanta? Is it in the secondary? Is it a wide receiver? Or is it along the offensive line and maybe kick a guy inside?
All right, Dan, I ask you, what do you think they should do
so
here?
If at this spot with these players, it's between 2 for me. It's either Whippler from Ohio State or Garrett Williams from Syracuse. I think Garrett Williams is only down here this low because of the ACL injury he suffered last year. I think that if he was healthy, he'd be a top of the second round type talent. So if the Falcons can be patient with him and rehab, that's probably where I would lean here. If that's the kind of corner you're looking for, if you want like someone in the Witherspoon mold that you can get in the 3rd round, I go Williams, and then get offensive line later, because I think after Williams, for me personally, there's a teardrop at corner.
You sold me. You sold me, Dan. Let's go, Garrett Williams. Welcome to the Atlanta Falcons, baby.
All right, there it is. If you like sports and playing sporting games, download the Champions Round app. Get playing and start winning. And use the promo code DraftBros for a free $10 and check out our newest game mode, Spicy Slips. If you love live sports gaming, the NBA, or you just want some extra action this NFL season, come play Spicy Slips. And now the NCAA tournament is available for Spicy Slips. So check that out. Build a 2 to 5 leg parlay of live props and win big today. All right, so this is the last pick, and now we're going to find out what our grades are.
Our draft.
Graded out? Oh, look at that. Here we go.
A+.
So
man.
What's up?
They really liked your picks. Those were good in terms of where they should be picked, as well as position need, my guess. But 2 A+ is outstanding. And then, of course, the Garrett Williams pick that you agreed to also gave an A-.
Well, that was a group project. We got an A- on that group project.
All right. I was just the speaker of the group here.
Hey, you are the presenter. That's the most important part.
I presented it to the teacher. Let's see.
So
are you happy with these picks?
Are you happy with that? Yeah.
I mean, if this was like fantasy football, right? And Yahoo is grading your draft and they told me I got an A+, personally, I'm going to be a little bit wary of that because I seem to always win the league championship when it's like, you had a C- draft. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll show you, chip on your shoulder mentality. So if this was a fantasy football draft, I'd be a little worried, but it's not. I think we crushed it personally. I'm going to go crack open a beer when we get off and celebrate an amazing draft. And I think I saved my job with this one, guys.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it looks good on our end, and we appreciate you coming on here to talk Atlanta Falcons draft with us and showing us who you like as their draft picks in this 3-round mock. And again, people, if you're looking to follow Will McFadden, you can do so on Twitter at Will McFadden. He's a writer and draft analyst for the Falcaholic. Will, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you and your expertise. So thanks so much, Will.
Yeah, happy to do it anytime, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.